हे गाइस वेलकम बैक। एंड अगर आप नॉर्मल हैं या तो मतलब अगर आप सीजीपीएससी के एस्पायरेंट हैं तो आप प्लीज़ ये वीडियो मत देखिए। दिस वीडियो इज़ नॉट फॉर यू। ये वीडियो उन लोगों के लिए जो सप्लाई चेन पे हैं। एंड व्हाट वी विल बी डूइंग इज वी विल बी रीडिंग दिस Aquarial Standard Boards paper where it is there for risk evaluation in enterprise risk management. So in a way, I'll let you know or I'll show you how you read the paper and how you can read this in a quite small amount of time. And I was going through it by myself, so I thought let's just make a video out of it so you can also be a part of it. And I am not expecting anyone to be giving this video any rating, but it's upon you because I don't find any worth in this. It's just a part of me sharing information with you guys. So the first thing which we always look is a table of contents and where we see that what we have to do. So if we see the purpose, scope, cross references and effective date has not will not be any use of us. But if you see a definition, we will be getting a lot of definition part here and then the analysis and then after that the communication and disclosures. We will not be going to the appendix. So that's how we are going to do. It's a 11 page document, not documentary. And just let's quickly move on to the definition part. It's on page number 2, but as we see we are already on page number 2. So you have to find it maybe somewhere. Yeah, that's the standards of practice. Here we are seeing the purpose. Here we come as a section 2 as definitions. So the first definition was of economic capital. It's the amount of capital an organization requires to survive or to meet a business objective for a specified period of time and risk metric given its risk profile. So we are always talking about risk here. So and in that way we are thinking the economic capital is the amount of capital it needs or it requires to survive or meet a business objective for a specified period of time and risk metric. Then emerging risk. That means whatever we have discussed or whatever we have thought of, there is a new or evolving risk that may be difficult to manage since their likelihood, impact, timing, or interdependency with other risks are highly uncertain. So it is pure definition basis. We don't have to elaborate it a lot. And then we are coming to enterprise risk management, the discipline by which an organization in any industries access, control, exploit, finances, and monitors risk from all the sources for the purpose of increasing the organization's short and long-term value to its stakeholders. Then we are coming to enterprise risk management control system, the continuing process by which risks are identified, risk and are evaluated, risk appetites are chosen, risk limits are set, risks are accepted or avoided, risk mitigation activities are performed, and actions are taken when risk limits are breached. So it's basically a full flow where you identify the risk, you evaluate it, the appetite you choose, you set the limit, you accept or avoid the risk, you mitigate the activity to perform or the actions you want to take when the risk limits are breached. Going to organization, the entity for which the enterprise risk management is being performed, or basically it's a public or private companies, government entities, associations, whether for profit or for non-profit. Risk is actually as simple as you can term out is a potential of future losses or shortfalls from expectations due to a deviation of actual results from expected results. Then the appetite, the risk appetite. What is your appetite? Like for food, you have an appetite, right? You can have this much amount of food in your body at a given time. Same thing, the level of aggregate risk that an organization chooses to take in pursuit of its objectives. Then risk evaluation system, a combination of practices, tools and methodologies within a risk management system used to measure the potential impacts of risk events on a performance metrics of an organization. Coming to the risk limit, a threshold actually where which is used to monitor the actual risk exposure of a specific unit or the units of organization to ensure that the level of aggregate risk remains within the tolerance. Coming to now the risk management system, a combination of practices, tools, methodologies that an organization used to identify, assess, measure, mitigate, or manage the risk it faces during the course of conducting its business. And let me tell you, if you go on reading this particular document, you will not get it all the things. But if you read along with me, if you see it out, I am sure you will get all the topic in a go, in a single go. Take it with you and be specific, just stay with me. So now coming to risk metric, a measure of risk. Example includes value at risk, expected policyholder deficit, and a conditional tail expectation. Risk mitigation actions that reduces the frequency of severity of a risk. Okay, then risk profile, the risk to which an organization is exposed over a specified period of time is called a risk profile. Okay, so risk tolerance, again the aggregate risk taking capacity of an organization. Now here the risk appetite and risk tolerance, it's different. Risk appetite is for a current objective, what is the risk a company can take, and risk tolerance is the aggregate risk taking capacity of that organization, right? It's kind of average but not an pure average. Now coming to scenario test, a process for assessing the impacts of one possible event or several simultaneously or sequentially occurring possible events on an organization financial procedure. So basically we access the impact through a scenario, and that is called a scenario test. Now coming to stress test, what you are doing is you are changing basically a process of measuring the impact on adverse changes in one or relatively few factors affecting an organization's financial position. That is called a stress test. Now coming to the section 3, which is analysis of issues and recommendation practices. The first is risk evaluation. An actuary may be called upon to evaluate the risk in many contexts using various tools such as an economic capital models and stress and scenario test we have discussed in the upward section. In performing services related to risk evaluation, the actuary should consider or may rely on others who have considered the following. The first one is information about the financial strength, risk profile, and risk environment of the organization that is appropriate to the assignment. Such information may include the following. First, the financial flexibility of the organization. Second, the nature, scale, and complexity of the risk faced by the organization. Third, the potential differences between the current and the long-term risk environments. Fourth, the organization's strategic goals, including goals for the level and volatility of profits, both short-term and long-term. The interest, including the risk reward expectation of relevant stakeholders. These stakeholders may include some or all of the following owners: board of directors, management, customers, partners, employee, regulators, and other potential impacted by the organization management of risk. So there are a lot of stakeholders interest, everyone is involved. Then regulatory or rating agency criteria for risk levels and the implication of potential risk levels on the continuation of business operations as reflected in ratings or any other external measure of security. So the degree to which organization different risks interact with one another, actual and perceived diversification benefits, and dependency or correlation of the different risks. The limitations or to the fungibility of the capital across the organization to the extent to which the organization exposure to risk may differ from the exposure of its competitors. So let's just revise the first risk evaluation. We deal about the financial strength, risk profile, everything. So where what we do, we check the financial flexibility of the organization, we check the nature, scale, complexity of the risk faced by the organization before, we check the potential difference between the current and the long-term risk environments, we check the organization strategic goals, include goals for the level and volatility of profits, both short-term and long-term. We check the interest, including the risk-reward expectation of relevant stakeholders and all those things. Then we check the regulatory or rating agency criteria for risk levels, amplification of potential risk levels, and continuation of business operations are reflected. Then we check the degree to which organization different risks interact with one another. We also check the fungibility of the limitations of the fungibility of the capital across the organization. So here the actuary may rely on management's opinion of the risk environment, may form an independent opinion on the risk environment, may rely on a third party's evaluation of the risk environment, and like I said, may rely on a third party evaluation of the risk environment or may infer a risk environment from current conditions such as market prices, political climate, among others. Now, B is the information about organization's own risk management system as appropriate to the assignment. Such information may include the following: the risk tolerance of the organization, the risk appetite of the organization. This may be explicit or inferred from objectives of, as I told you, right, above one, objectives of the organization, including those related to solvency, market confidence, earning expectation, or other objectives. Then the component of the organization's enterprise risk management control cycle, and that will be kind of the whole thing of the organizations, and then the knowledge and experience of the management and the board of directors regarding risk assessment and risk management. The actual execution of the organization's enterprise risk management control cycle, including how unexpected outcomes are acted upon. Now, the C or the third one, the relationship, sorry, between the organization's financial strength and risk profile and the risk environment as identified in A above and the organization risk management system as identified in B. Basically, the first one will check about the financial strength, risk profile, risk environment. Second will be check about how their existing management systems are there. Okay, actual professional judgment. If in the actuary's professional judgment as appropriate to the statement, a significant inconsistency exists, then that inconsistency should be reflected in the risk evaluation, the intended purpose and uses of the actuarial work product. Now 3.2 is considerations related to the risk evaluation model. In developing or reviewing the maintaining models used in risk evaluation, the actuary should consider or may rely on the others who have considered the following. First, whether the models are fit for the purpose. In making that determination, the actuary may review the following. First, the degree to which the model needs to be responsible or sorry, reproducible. I'm sorry for this, reproducible and adaptable to new risk. The sophistication of the models in proportion to the materiality of the risk they cover. The practical consideration of the models, including usability, reliability, timeliness, and process effectiveness, technological capabilities, and cost efficiency, the inherent statistical and theoretical limitation of the models, the quality, accuracy, appropriateness, timeliness, and completeness of the data underlying the models, the appropriateness of the methodologies used for model verification and validation, calibration, and sensitivity testing, the appropriateness of the methodologies used for modeling dependency among risks, the appropriateness of the cash flow and discounting methodologies used in the models. Now let's just revise. First is the degree to which the model needs to be reproducible and adaptable to new risk. Second is the proportion to the materiality of the risk they cover, how sophisticated the model is. The third is practical consideration, like how usable, how reliable, how timeliness, how process effectiveness, all those things for that particular model. Then statistical and theoretical limitations of the models, which is coming inherent, and then quality, accuracy, appropriateness, timeliness again, and completeness of the data which is underlying the model. And then if here the main point is data, and then we are coming about the sensitivity testing, model verification, what are the methodologies used. This is the underlying part here. And then here are coming about the appropriateness of that methodology, where the has been, the dependencies among risk has been taken care. And then finally the cash flow and discounting methodologies for that model. Now coming to whether the model assumptions are appropriate in making the determination, they actually should consider the following. First of all, the assumptions are supportable, they should be appropriately documented and they should be allow the deviation from the expected. Second thing is whether the assumptions are regularly revisited to determine their appropriateness. I mean, if there is a change or something like that, then if the assumptions are explicitly reflecting the anticipated management actions in response to the future events which are supportable and appropriately documented. Now coming to the economic capital within the ERM programs, actuaries are often called upon for the assistance in determining the economic capital of the organization. So let's just first consider the relating to an economic capital model. In this task, it's related to designing, developing, reviewing an economic capital model. So the following points which have to be appropriate is first is the appropriateness of the selected time frame, basically measuring loss, like for example solvency, uh, regulatory standards, earning loss, reputation damage, and all. And with that, the risk metric also. First is the measuring loss basis, and second is the risk metric, which is underlying the organization definition of economic capital related to how it is used to support strategic decisions. Now we come to the degree where the economic model capital reflects the significant risk of that organization and the interdependency of those risks in a consistent and comprehensive manner. Then coming to the method used to model each risk, some risks are more appropriately modeled stochastically, while others may be appropriately modeled using stress test. So basically, one we can say about the simple scenario test, and second can be more appropriately model the risk model because of the stress test where you change the values. Then reliance on accounting framework. So what is it's in a capital model, it should be consistent, the reliance should be consistent throughout the model and appropriate model for the intended use. So the accounting framework should be consistent. Now coming to the methods. So as we already discussed of methods, we will be discussing about what is the input of that method and what all those things. Now the first method is always stress test. So a specific degree of adversity is assumed and the financial impact of that adverse experience upon the organization is estimated by the actuary. So basically you temper and see how your model is responding. Then is called stochastic models where the distribution of possible future outcomes is determined either directly or through a model that calculates the impact of risk assumption on the financial outcomes. Using stochastic models uh, for economic capital requires a specification of a confidence interval. So basically, for the future outcomes is already determined, and that's how the possible future thing happens. But here you have to be a confidence interval specified for that economic capital. Okay. So what is a confidence interval? So if you are saying is this, is basically the confidence interval is a range of values we are fairly sure our true value lies in. Basically, basically a average height example, they measure 40 random chosen men and get a mean of height 175 centimeter. So we also know the standard deviation of the men's height is 20 centimeter. So the 95% confidence interval is 175 centimeter plus 6.2 centimeter. So plus minus is basically from 168.8 to 181. So this say the true mean of all men, if we could measure of all their height, is likely to be between this. Okay. So 95% says that a 95% like just we did, but 5% won't. Okay. So in there is a 1 to 20 chance that our confidence interval does not include the true mean. So 95% we are sure. Basically our the value we are expecting should lie between in this, basically a bracket. That should be the case even if we are forecasting. Now let's come to the reference to standard measures. Regulatory and rating agency capital model produces standard risk metrics. Definition of economic capital sometimes make references to. Okay, so regulatory and rating, as I already told this one. So basically, definition of economic capital, what it sometimes it makes a reference to required regulatory and rating agency capital also. Now coming to assumption part. So what it does, how it does, what is the conditions, like is there is a loss or not, all those things. the actuary has to perform. Like how they will perform, first is already the historical data available, then he will check the prices in the marketplace, he will also sees the opinions of other expert and the fit of a assumed distribution to available data. Then if we go the ability of the assumed distribution to reflect the possible extreme values, then sensitivity of the results to change in assumptions, then internal consistency of the assumption, and then consistency of the applications of assumptions. Then coming to validation of the economic capital model. So as you already known that it's already determined on the basis of stochastic models and produce a large number of outcomes. The actuary should devise appropriate test of the distribution of outcomes calculated by the model. For example, in comparison to the range of results is similar models or the historical outcomes over time, and the sensitivity of those distribution to changes in the assumption of parameters, the actuary should perform validation tests to determine whether the model's results are reasonable, consistent with relevant items for the underlying balance sheet. And disclosure should be like properly lined. And coming to stress and scenario testing, so the stress and scenario testing are used for many risk management and regulatory purpose. So considers relating to the stress and scenario testing is, first is the extent to which the stress test reflects similar or different degrees of adversity. Using different degrees of adversity may affect the comparability of stress test. Then any items in the organization business plan that describe how the organization will function during an extreme event, as well as any historical organization examples. Then that an extreme event scenario may be a single event or a series of events taken together have catastrophic results. How action and reaction of various stakeholders and markets during extreme events may differ from those during normal times. Then whether the assumed interdependency are appropriate use under the stress or scenario testing assumption due to the possibility of unanticipated consequences when risks interact in ways not seen historically. How to define situation that results in a non-quantifiable risk and how to show plausible financial effects on the organization. Effects basically. Then some interest stress and scenario test will be hypothetical situation for which the actuary will not need to validate the degree to that degree which the scenario is realistic. Then there are methods. The first method is the model of single subsystem of the organization. Some very simple stress tests can be performed by modifying a single element that is being stressed. However, in most cases, even the simplest stress test requires the consideration of interdependency throughout the organization. The results from various submodels may be consolidated. Then fully integrated and automated forecasting model, economic capital models or business forecasting models may already be designed to reflect the interdependency of various elements or assumptions. And then what are the assumptions of a stress test? Basically, effect on other assumptions. Many assumptions may differ significantly from their baseline because of the defined stress. Then how the management response, like during an extreme event, management may delay decisions or make quick decisions that are inconsistent with business or plain prior practice. Then regulatory or legislative reaction. Regulatory capital limits may be changed or organization may have immediate need of additional capital. Then risk mitigation, how to mitigate the alternatives and mechanisms to utilize those alternatives may and may not be fully effective. Then time element, some secondary effects user scenario might occur in the later time period than the stressful itself. Then constructing scenario, many different types of scenario test as possible. In some cases, the broad outline of a scenario might be specified by others, and they actually make assumptions. So first, he should consider whether the scenarios need to be developed with consideration of many different elements of the board environment that might change from the baseline simulation with main event. In addition, he should also consider effects upon the organization which are described through item in 3.43 like distinct mitigation, time element, effect on other assumption, management process, what are the regulatory and what are the other things, legislative reactions, then emerging risk, the potential impact of emerging risk, this one, across various time horizons. Then the secondary effects of the organization assumed actions in light of onset of an emerging risk. These secondary effects may also varies from action and taken individual or entities affiliated with the organization whose risks are being evaluated. So he should comply with disclosure requirements outlined at 4.1.3 we will be discussing later. Other risk evaluation are there like monitoring and mitigating of this risk. We will be actually should apply the guidance which are already there in 3.1 and 3.2. Then specific circumstances may be there, maybe not be there. And then reliance on data or other information supplied by the second documentation. So So then coming to communications and disclosures, first we will discuss about how he will disclose and how he will communicate. About the economic capital and economic capital models, he should document and communicate the results of that capital model and what their intended use is. As we have described in 3.3, the actually should also disclose any known limitations of the economic capital model, including an assessment of the potential impact of these limitations on the models and results and their use. So then he should communicate about the stress and scenario test states that how he documented and communications has been done. So what their use is and how he will do it's already described in the above one. So what he should also disclose any known limitation of the stress and scenario testing, including an assessment of the potential impact of these limitations. Then he should also disclose the emergency, not emerging risk, how to identify and evaluating, and how he has done the disclosure on the time frame and the basis of measuring losses. Then the changes in system and process. He will also disclose any material changes in the system, process, methodology, or assumptions from those previously used for the same type of measurement. The general effects of any such changes should be disclosed in words or by numerical data or as appropriate. Assumptions, he should disclose the significant assumptions used in risk evaluation, such as account constructs, economic values, standalone or profit portfolio views or risk. He should also disclose the interdependencies among risk and statistical distribution used in the evaluation. The actuary should disclose any other significant assumptions used in the analysis, including anticipated future actions by management to manage or mitigate the risk. Then he should disclose a risk included and what their evaluation, their significance, what the relative significance are there. He should also disclose known material risks which are not included and rationale for not including those risks in the risk evaluation. We should also do the model evaluation about the future economic conditions have been reviewed and tested for reasonableness, and there are items such as sensitivity of the results to significant changes in the assumption, time frame, basis of measuring loss, and risk metric may be disclosed. Now it's about deviation from the guidance in standard. So this will not be read because it's we have not read the AS of 1, and this is the appendix here what is there and background. Let me just quickly read it out to you so we know. Okay, so let me close this right now, and I will give you the background maybe in the next video. It may be required, may not be required. Okay, I'll just read this. Actuaries also perform risk evaluation for a variety of other purposes, and he can be called upon performing or reviewing a risk evaluation for an entity prepared as a part of merger or acquisition activity. He can also be performed a review risk evaluation for the portion of organization business as a part of a decision to buy sell this portion of business, by to evaluate by a regulatory agency as a part of audit or investigation, by a rating agency as a part of rating process, by a public entity obligation, by organization strategic plans. So it was like that, and then there was a comment on exposure draft and responses. What are the comments and uh, confidence level and all those things, general comments we don't need to go through. It is not in our part. And if you want, you can go through by your own means, but I am not going through it. And yeah, I'll be closing this video here. I don't think so anything else is required. And we will be doing with ASOP number 47 in the next video. And yeah, I read it thoroughly. I am satisfied. I hope you are also satisfied with it. And let's just close this one right here. Thank you.